Every season, gardeners wonder why their peppers and tomatoes aren't performing the way they should. The plants are in good soil, the sun is perfect, the fertilizer schedule is solid, and yet something still seems off. More often than not, the problem comes down to one of the simplest factors in gardening, water. These crops are heavy feeders, but they're also incredibly sensitive to how moisture moves around their roots. When watering habits are even slightly inconsistent, peppers and tomatoes will show you almost immediately, if you know how to read the signs. Today, we're looking at the 5 most common indicators that your watering routine needs adjusting, and how to fix each one with straightforward, proven methods. The first sign is leaves curling inward, especially at the top of the plant. Many gardeners assume curling means overwatering, but with peppers and tomatoes, it almost always points to underwatering or inconsistent moisture. When the soil dries too deeply, the plant reacts by curling its leaves to reduce surface area and slow moisture loss. The solution is to rebuild a predictable watering rhythm. For tomatoes in warm weather, a deep watering every 2 to 3 days works well, but the key is to saturate the soil at least 6 to 8 inches down. Peppers prefer slightly drier soil, but still need consistent moisture, so a thorough watering every 3 days is generally a safe place to start. You can check whether your watering is deep enough by pressing a wooden skewer or stake into the soil. If it comes up dry for the first several inches, the roots aren't getting what they need. The fix is simple: water slow, water deep, and maintain a rhythm. The second sign is blossom end rot, which shows up as a dark, soft, sunken spot at the bottom of your tomatoes or peppers. Now, a lot of gardeners blame calcium deficiency, but the real issue almost always comes back to inconsistent watering. When soil swings from too dry to suddenly wet, the plant just can't transport calcium evenly. Even if your soil is rich in calcium, the fruit won't receive it properly. To correct this, you'll want to maintain even moisture levels throughout the entire growing season. A practical strategy is to water deeply and then apply a thick mulch layer, straw, shredded leaves, or wood chips, to hold moisture steady. For example, watering tomatoes thoroughly and then mulching with about 3 inches of straw can cut moisture loss by more than half. Once the plant has even soil moisture, it begins transporting nutrients correctly again, and blossom end rot becomes rare. The third sign is cracked fruit on your tomatoes. Cracking happens when a sudden flood of water enters the plant after a dry period. The fruit swells faster than its skin can stretch, and the result is splitting. You'll see this most often after a deep rainfall following a long dry spell, but inconsistent garden watering can cause it too. The corrective method is to never let your soil dry out completely. Water on a consistent cycle, so the plant isn't going from drought to excess. If heavy rain is forecast, and your tomatoes are nearly ripe, you can pick them early and let them finish ripening indoors at room temperature. This prevents cracking and preserves their flavor. The fourth sign is yellowing lower leaves. Now, yellow leaves are often blamed on nutrient deficiency, but peppers and tomatoes can turn yellow from both underwatering and overwatering. The difference, really, lies in the soil. If the soil is wet and heavy, drainage is the problem. Roots sitting in water just can't breathe, and the plant starts shedding leaves. In this case, reduce watering frequency and improve drainage by mixing compost into the top layer of soil, or adding coarse material, like pine bark fines. On the other hand, if the soil is bone dry, those yellow leaves are a sign of drought stress. A good method to prevent either extreme is to develop a soil moisture check routine. Just press your fingers about 2 inches into the soil. If it's dry at that depth, go ahead and water. If it's still moist, just leave it alone. This simple habit restores balance better than any fertilizer ever could. The fifth sign is small fruit or stalled growth. When peppers and tomatoes stop putting out new growth, the cause is almost always irregular watering. Both plants really rely on steady moisture to power cell expansion. If the soil keeps drying out, the plant will shut down growth to conserve energy. Tomatoes respond quicker than peppers, but both will stall if they don't get consistent moisture. The solution is to adopt controlled deep watering. For tomatoes, apply about 1 to 1.5 gallons of water at the base every 2 or 3 days, depending on the heat. For peppers, 3/4 to 1 gallon on a similar rhythm works well. Plants usually respond within days, pushing new growth once they sense stability in the soil. Once you establish proper watering practices, you'll notice something remarkable. Peppers grow thicker leaves, tomatoes send out stronger stems, fruit production increases, and problems like cracking or blossom end rot just fade into the background. Almost every issue gardeners encounter with these crops traces back to water balance. When you fix that, you fix everything else. If you found this guide helpful, subscribe to Gentle Herb Gardening and share this video with a gardener who's been struggling with their peppers and tomatoes. Consistent, proper watering really makes all the difference, and once you master it, your garden will reward you all season long.